Hello everyone, this is Jim from DJ School UK. Hopefully you've been enjoying our video so far and maybe even got your first mix together. Don't forget, in the description to this video are links to all the keyboard shortcuts and the free DJ software. If you haven't already got those, I really recommend you start from video 1. You don't want to jump in at the deep end here. Now before we start, I want to remind you that we talk fast in these videos, but you can rewind and watch any part again until you understand it. You can also use the comments section below to ask us questions, or you can book face-to-face online sessions where we can help you. All the comments are moderated for safety. So, in the last video, Callum was talking to you and explaining beat grids. The bar numbers, the beat counters, these kind of elements. In this video, I'm going to get a little bit more advanced and I'm going to show you another way to help you find the one, the first beat of a bar, and the first beat from which you want to mix. I'm also going to drop a few extra tips and tricks as we go along. So the first thing I have to say about beat grids is that you won't always be able to see them. I'm going to drop a track in here, and as you can see, this one has no bar counters and no beat markers anywhere in the song. I can click anywhere, there's nothing. Now, the reason for that used to be whether you were using Serato Lite or Serato Pro. But these days it just depends what version of Serato you're on. If you're using Serato DJ Pro, this area that's greyed out on Serato Lite, because these are Serato DJ Pro features, this should be lit up on Pro, and as long as you're on Simple Sync, you'll always see the beat grids. If you're on Serato DJ Lite, they only introduced beat grids at version 1.3.2. So if you're not on version 1.3.2 or later, you're going to want to update Serato DJ Lite to get beat grids on anything. So to check what version you're on, first of all, come up to your settings icon, and down in this bottom left-hand corner, version number 1.3.5 I'm on, which is the latest version. If you're not on 1.3.2, or if you're not on 1.3.5 in fact, I would suggest you update to the latest version regularly and get on 1.3.5. So you can either click check for updates, or you could go to Serato.com, or don't forget, on our YouTube channel, on any of the descriptions for any of our videos, there's going to be a link to Serato DJ Lite. So you could click on that, really straightforward. And yeah, as you can see, 1.3.5, download version 1.3.5. It's still free, it doesn't cost you anything. Highly recommend you get it, because if you've not already got it, you'll then be able to get the beat grids, even on Serato DJ Lite, still for free. Don't forget, if you're going to need to do the update, you're going to need the administrator for your computer to enter their password, and it might take some time. So why not pause this video here, go get set up, come back when you're all sorted. All right, so have we all got updated to 1.3.5 and we're ready to carry on? Nice one. So now, first thing I need to show you about beat gridding is what happens when you load a new song. Basically, this is when the computer is going to analyze the new song and give you the beat grid. What I'm going to choose is a song I've been messing with in lockdown. It's not brilliant, I'm not going to play you it. But if I drop it in, I want you to notice that instead of the waveform just popping up instantly, oops, it looks like that one's already been done. Let me find another one. It's hard to know which of these I've actually already put in. So no, that one's been done. Let's go back in time a little bit. There. See that waveform just being created? It wasn't there before. Let me try another one, see if I can see it again. No. I'm not looking at this, by the way. I'm looking up here at the full waveform. There. It's not until it fills the waveform that it gives you a BPM, and that's the point at which it gives you a beat grid. Now, you know, we don't have to spend too long worrying about that, but the important thing to understand is it takes the computer a little bit of processor power, and there's no point trying to guess your BPM until it's finished that process. That's how the computer decides on the beat grid. Some songs will come with a beat grid, as you saw. Any song that's been preloaded will have a beat grid. Don't worry about that. But if the song's new, it might just take a second before it registers a BPM. Now, as Callum said in video 7, beat grids are really useful for counting bars. There's bar 1, there's bar 2, and beats, these individual little white tags. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then first beat of bar 2. It's really useful. But what are you going to do if the software analyses the song wrong and gives you an incorrect beat grid? Do you remember all the hassle Callum had counting in house every weekend? Here we go, I'm going to line it up. On this song, the beat grid, the software thinks the beat grid starts here. The first noise it thinks is the first beat of a bar. But if we play it, 1, 2, 3, 4, we can tell that actually that's the first beat of the bar. What's worse is, because this is a reverse sound, in this case, the computer then thinks that that's the beginning of the beat, and that therefore this beginning of the next bar must be in front. The timing's all wrong. It's not even lined up with the actual beat. So what I'm going to show you now is how we alter the beat grid if we know it's wrong. We're better than computers at hearing music. The computer can only do things if it thinks it's simple. We can do better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up House Every Weekend at its first beat. I know that's actually its first beat because I've practiced with it, I've learnt this, I've tested it, and I'm confident. Next, all I have to do, it's really easy, come up to Edit Grid up here, click it, and you start to see the beat grid. Now all I have to do for this simple one, if all I'm doing is moving the 1, is set. See the button that says set? Bang. It's put the 1 on there, and you can see instantly bar 2 lines up much better. All the beat markers are bang on the beat, and if I play it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2. Perfect. It's absolutely lock on. Now, if you really want to be certain that there's no drift over the full length of your song, fast forward to a drop. I know I've got a drop on this yellow hot cue. There we are. And yeah, look, the yellow hot cue that I've already made, because I know it's bang on a first beat of a bar and a drop, is now bang on a bar marker as well, bar 106. So that's impeccable. That's a perfectly made beat grid now. But one last thing, before you actually click off Edit Grid, save it. Without saving it, you're back to square one. Save it, it automatically shuts Edit Grid, but now I can put a different song in, no problem. When I reload House Every Weekend, look at that, it's on the beat grid I saved. So never forget, if you've done something worthwhile, save it. So that's it. That's your basic beat grid editing if it's just got it completely wrong. But let's say it's got it worse and it's actually got the BPM wrong, or it's got completely the wrong position for the beat grid as well as not having it on the 1. Let me go back up to Edit Grid and just looking at Just Be Good to Me. I'm just going to quickly, as an example, show you some of the things you could do here where you've got adjust. What this does is it actually stretches time. So what you're doing is you're telling the software that the beat grid is too fast or too slow and that you want to stretch it. And notice, as I stretch it, if I make bar 2 happen later, it thinks the song's slower and the BPM is slowing down. That's important to know. The double arrows are for bigger movements, the single arrows are for smaller movements. You can stretch it where you like it. If the whole thing's out and not on the 1, you can slip the beat grid. Fine movements, big movements. So it might be that that was actually the 4th beat and you want it there. And you can line it up and you can set it so it's just right. Again, if you're going to do this, skip forward, check your future bar markers. Check that it really is spot on for what you want. Okay, so your beat grid sorted. It's a fantastic thing, it really is. It can help you count bars, it'll help you see what bar you're up to, and it can help you make notes. Do you remember when I did that mix? I think it was video 6, maybe video 5, and I was going on and on about how when I get to the end of the beginnings of Pump It Up, and I get to its drop, instead of playing the drop, I jump straight to the hot cue that I'd set here and drop it there. Same vocal, more bass and more kick drum. So what I was trying to do was maintain the flow. So with the bar counters, what I can do is I can explain that so much easier to anyone else by saying, when I get to bar 33, instead of playing the first beat of bar 33, I use a hot cue to jump straight to the first beat of bar 97. You can't quite see the 97, but there's 98 and 96. So by the amazing powers of deduction, that's bar 97. If I deleted the hot cue, I'd be able to see it clearer, but I like that hot cue because I use it in my mix. So I'm not deleting it right now. You'll just have to trust me. But how much more useful is that to explain a mix and to explain what you're doing? Bar 33 to bar 97, straightforward because the beat grid's in there. It can also really help if something doesn't start from the 1. I'm going back to Callum trying to describe how House Every Weekend needed a specific counting. Instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and going on the first beat of the bar, Callum wanted to include this reverse snare sound at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what he had to do was he had to work out exactly what beat that was on so he could count in and start that in advance so that then the first beat landed on the first beat of the bar of the other song. Now, that was pretty tricky, just feeling it. I really, really respect just feeling it. I feel a lot of my music. But here's a little tip, just to make things a bit more straightforward. If the two songs are already beat matched, then they should have exactly the same distance between each beat. So if I now line up the first beat of bar 2 on the play line, and the first beat of bar 1 of House Every Weekend on the play line, then you can see the rest of the beats are lining up. They would have been in time, even though they're a bar out. But I'm only doing this for visual purposes because what I'm looking at is where this snare lands in relation. And that leaves me able to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and, well, first beat of the second bar. And I can now see that that snare needs dropping on the 4th beat of a bar. And it makes it much easier to see that. So feeling it is fantastic, but if I want to get it just right, I can do it visually and see where it should land. That should come in useful sometimes, but what if it's even trickier? So sometimes you've got a song with a little vocal intro that isn't on a clear beat. So I'm going to use a song called Instruction featuring Demi Lovato. It's not one of my favourite songs, but it has got one of these difficult intros. If I jump back to... Oh, for some reason my hot cue there wasn't working. There we go.
All my ladies.
So it's All My Ladies and then the 1. So my beat grid's right. That's cool. So if I line that up on the 1 and then I line this up on the 2, wait a second, I haven't beat matched them. It's not going to work if they're not beat matched. There we go. Still lined up. And now, do you remember Callum talking about another way of counting? You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next one. Or you've got off beats, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And that gives you a little bit more precision so you could count on the and. But there's another one. 1 and 2 and 3 . And I can see that if I start this song on 3 in between 3 and the and, that should mean that my first beat of Instruction lands on the first beat of a bar of Just Be Good to Me. And I'm not going to claim to be able to get it right first time because it's a tricky little rhythm. It's still going to take practice, but at least I've got an idea from visually lining it up. We could go into crotchets, semi-quavers, demi-semi-quavers, and all the musical notation that tells you exactly where in a bar's timing different things happen. But for the moment, let's just stick to 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 like that, because that's probably as much as you're going to need for most DJ songs. I still recommend you feel it. And I still recommend you practice it because it's not easy. So let's have a quick go. We'll start with S. I'm going to stutter in as well. So I'm also going to try and count 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3.
All my ladies. All my ladies. Wind to the left, sway to the right.
Okay, so I got it. I've practiced this a bit. If it's not quite right, you can nudge it. If it's not bang on, you can practice it. That's what we're talking about here. But at least by lining them up in that fashion, the beat 1 that you know is the beat 1 lined up, and the first beat of the second bar lined up, then you can work out where in your count you do need to start. So hopefully that's useful to you, little extra tips. So next video, Jack's going to talk us through a mix he's prepared, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that one. But that's me for today. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel so you know when we make new videos, and as I said at the start, if you have any questions or ideas about future videos, please leave us a comment or get in touch. We can specifically look at individual pairs of songs and help you work out how they might mix well or how you need to beat grid them. Little specific things like that. That's our job. If you want specific online one-to-one classes, we can help you a lot. And if you want to donate to our DJ School UK's non-profit work, all the links for all those things are in the description area under this video. Thank you for watching.